Boys and girls, my name is Pastor Josh from the Porte First Assembly, and I'm going to tell you guys an awesome story. And actually, it came up because I was actually hearing a song on the radio. If you guys ever heard it before, "It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you." Perfect song, right? Everyone loves that song, and I did it beautifully, as you could hear, obviously. But this song actually reminds me a lot of a story in the Bible that's a real story that really happened in real life. There's a guy named Elisha. He was a prophet of God, if you ever heard his name before. Elijah and Elisha were both really good friends of each other, and Elisha took on the same spirit that Elisha had, but with a double portion, right? So he was able to do the same miracles that Elijah did, but greater, right? So there was a time that the Israelites were at war with the Syrians, okay? And so the Syrians were always setting up traps for Israel. And so they would set up camps outside of Israel and certain paths to try to ambush people as they came in the city and out of the city, because they were at war with each other, right? But Elisha, though, he heard from God exactly every single time that the Syrians were outside a camp and where they were, so that they could avoid them and go the other way, or even set traps for the trappers, right? And so this made the Syrian king really angry, and he looked at his servants. He said, "Which of you is a spy for Israel? Will you not tell me?" And then they said, No, sir. There is a prophet in Israel that says everything that you say in secret, in your bedroom, even your thoughts, their God tells them exactly what you're thinking. And so this made the Syrian king really angry, and he said, "You know what? Let's find this prophet and let's surround him. Let's get him." And so he sent off to spies to see where Elisha was. And they came back to the king and they said, "Elisha is in the town of Dothan." Now that word is kind of funny, just sidetrack thought. It reminds me a little bit of Star Wars, because there's Bothan spies and now there's Dothan spies. Anyways, back to it. So these spies, they sent back word to the king, and the king said, "You know what? Surround the city." So they sent an entire army just to surround Elisha and his servant. Okay, so they're surrounded in the city, and there's chariots and soldiers everywhere. And then the servant of Elisha looked at him and he said, "Sir, what are we going to do? We are surrounded." And so Elisha said, "Man, those who are for us are more than those who are against us. Lord, open his eyes." And so when the servant opened his eyes, he looked around and he saw a huge army that was with fire chariots and angel armies that were surrounding even the enemy. So the enemy was surrounding Elisha, but the enemy itself was surrounded by God's army. Isn't that cool? But not only that, Elisha prayed out and he said, "God, I pray that you would strike these people with blindness." And so God did. But it wasn't like a physical blindness. They weren't walking around not being able to see anything. But they came right up to Elisha and they said, "Hey, have you seen a guy named Elisha? Huh? Do you know where he's at?" And so Elisha told the army, "No, this is not the man you're looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for." Another Star Wars reference. That's awesome. But no, this is not the man that you're looking for. In fact, he's in a different city. This isn't even the right city. You guys are totally lost. Come follow me, and I'll show you where the man actually is." So Elisha made the army follow him into his own city in Samaria, okay? And then the Samaritans, the Israelites, were surrounding the Syrians at that point. And then Elisha prayed, "God, open their eyes." And then the people looked around and they were scared, because not only were they led into a trap themselves instead of being the trappers again, but they could die because they were surrounded by an army, the Israelite army, right? But instead of the army killing them because they were at war with each other, Elisha told them, "Throw a feast, a big party, feed them." Okay, so they fed them and let them go back to their masters. But guess what? With that act of kindness, the raiding stopped. The Syrian army stopped trying to snare them and trap them. Isn't that pretty cool? I mean, if you think about times in your life that you felt like you were surrounded, just know that more are for you than that are against you, right? And if God is for you, who can be against you, right? You guys be blessed and have a great week.